Hello, it's Kathleen Littleton again, and it's been a while since I've seen you last. I'm well, I hope you are too. It's end of August, and we are currently in the last day of the online needlework marketplace, which is a wholesale marketplace to shops. And I have 3 new red releases that you might have seen on social media so far, but I wanted to show you them in person. So I do have the antiques and the models to show you now in case you would like to get in touch with your local needlework shop before the end of the market, but they will also be offering them throughout the next, ongoing time frame until they're released to the general public in about a month or so and through my distributors. So first of all, let's start with Mary Garrett. And here's the chart of Mary Garrett. And the full title is Mary Garrett, Clabberton School, 1854. It's a beautiful, simple marking sampler, which was made in England near Clabberton, which is in the English district. There's a beautiful manor house there in Middlesex, England, for many, many centuries actually. And we believe that the little stitcher either stitched it at that school or lived nearby, and she was influenced by what was taught there at the Clabberton Manor School. The actual antique is right here for you to look at. And you can see it was very finely stitched. It's actually on 72 count linen with silk. Here's a closer up picture. And I adapted it to what I would like to offer as a good match is 46 count Just the Ticket by Tabby Cat Linen. And I, on the chart, offer it in Oversoie silk with a conversion to NPI and DMC. So this retails for $18, and you can stitch it on lower count linen, of course, if you like. But the first red release is Mary Garrett, Clabberton School, 1854. Very good. I love that one, especially all the fonts. The second red release is Isabella Hopper, 1834. This too is a beautiful red marking sampler. We don't have any way of knowing where Isabella was from. She did stitch a very standard marking sampler, very finely stitched on coarse linen, personalizing it with 3 sets of initials, but it doesn't really give us a clue as to who she was. And as are many marking samplers stitched with a religious motto, this one says, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth." This too is offered for your stitching convenience on 40 count Hemingway, which I'll show you the model in a moment, with 103 silks with conversion to NPI and DMC. So let me just get something white to show you the antique. So here's the antique. Beautiful, still very much in good shape. Hope you can see this. And I do have a model stitched to show you. Here we have Isabella Hopper's model on 40 count Hemingway with 103 silks, which I stitched and framed. And see if we can hold these up together. You can see I tried to match the antique linen fairly well with the Hemingway, so it turned out pretty well. It was a joy to stitch. These marking samplers are just very rhythmic and soothing to the needle and our souls. So I appreciate your interest in that. And then the third and final red release for August online needlework marketplace is Viva Jesus, Viva Maria. This is an Italian sampler. And we have this one available on 46 count light hazelnut by XJU Designs with the Veriswas silk 103. I have stitched the model. It comes out to be about 292 inches wide by 227, and so it's a fairly adequate average size sampler. It's not super large, but the antique itself was stitched on 22 count linen, so that antique is very large. It's 25.5 inches wide by 18 inches high, and let me show you that right now. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the motifs. And here I have to use two hands is the very, very large antique. And oh my goodness, this is the way it came. Very large, as I said, very, very large. Okay, I don't know if you can even get all this into the camera view. So you can see on 22 count linen, it's a large sampler. So very beautiful, and oh my goodness, it weighs a ton. So that is the picture that's on the cover of the antique, and let me show you my model. Now, if you have been following me at all, you know I have a very large family, and we have 14 children, 5 of whom have recently gotten married in the past 18 months. So I do try to stitch a sampler for each of my children's weddings, and for the grandchildren I'm kind of getting a little bit behind. But this one is not completed yet because I've decided to personalize it for my daughter's wedding, the one that got married this past April, and on their honeymoon they went to Rome. So what more appropriate than a beautiful Italian sampler to commemorate their wedding and their honeymoon. So here is the model so far in progress. And like I said, this is on 46 count light hazelnut by XJU Design. And you see the Italian Viva Jesus, Viva Maria, which means Hail Jesus, Hail Mary. And all these motifs, which are Christian motifs, there's crosses and symbolisms with the scales of justice, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and Immaculate Heart of Mary, just a lot of other symbolisms that you can read about. And up at the top you see a number of really great scripts. There's one at the very, very top there that's a little hidden by my lovely Needle Needs frame, which I just started using these about last May, about 4 months ago, and they really keep the linen so taut. I'm just really pleased with the way I can stitch with these frames now, because I stitch two-handed, like one up, one down, and it really helps to have the linen very taut. So those are my 3 releases. As I was mentioning, they're $18 retail for Isabella Hopper and Mary Garrett. For the Italian sampler, it's $22 retail, and they are available at your local needlework store who's participating in the online wholesale market this weekend to last weekend in August, and then they'll be out on general release in, within the next month. So there you have it. So now that I have your attention, as you know, I don't do a lot of videos, but I usually do them when I have new releases. I just wanted to tell you a couple of things that I've acquired recently and what I've been working on. So I've recently charted 2 samplers a few days ago, and these are sister samplers, and I fell in love with them. They were in very rough shape, and I'm going to be releasing these sometime soon. So I'm going to show you them both, and they're not yet researched, but you definitely know for sure by looking at them that they are sisters. And here we go. I hope you can see these. Oh my goodness, I love them so much. Okay, these are called the Sandery Sisters samplers. We have Mary and Sarah. And they both have a lovely verse, and they're very similar in layout and size. I believe, let me just check these dates. Okay. Mary was stitched in 1846, and Sarah was stitched in 1837. So they're very unique, but similar to each other. They have just a couple floss colors in common, and poor Sarah's lettering has all faded, and it's very sad to say the way these came were stuck on a piece of cardboard with a double stick marking tape that was about 3 inches thick in like 5 different bands. So the stitches are really falling apart, and I'm very glad that I charted these, and I will soon get them conservation mounted and framed. But look for these in the near future. The Sandery Sisters samplers. Okay, I like other reproductionists feel the need to save these for the future, for future stitchers, for future people who would like to salvage samplers and have them restitched and hung on their walls to enjoy for all posterity. So those two are really high on my list to get done and get out there for you. A couple others that I'd like to show you. One more that I recently acquired, which is just a stunning Scottish sampler, and let me pick that up for you. I haven't yet reproduced this or charted it, but it is also high on my list. And it's a little dark in terms of the linen due to age. And we have this beautiful, beautiful red sampler. Hope you can see this. And if you can see the bottom, you'll see it actually says it's from Edinburgh, which is Scotland, stitched by Anne Phillip. And she stitched it in the year 1818. So close look. You'll see the crowns and the various borders and alphabets and a beautiful verse that we have all heard before, Jesus permit. Sorry for the glare. I cannot wait to chart this and stitch this. So look for this one in the near future. And Phillip, Edinburgh, Scotland, 1818. All I need is more time. More time to do all these lovely samplers that I love so much. Okay, everything's gonna fall, but that's okay. Nothing's gonna break. Now, I wanted to also show you some past releases that are not yet out on the marketplace, but will be shortly. One that has been out there through Kitten Stitcher, which was part of this, the sampler box from last October, will be coming out for general release sometime before Christmas. And Contented Stitcher Kim on FlossTube has been stitching this and showing it. And this is the completed model that I stitched. And here we have In Memory of Louise. I believe she's gotten almost, I would say, half of it done. This is on 40 count sand dune with 103 silks. So you can look for this release sometime before Christmas. And it's just absolutely beautiful. It was, I believe it was a German sampler because the words In Memory of Louise were actually in German, which I translated into English. And we don't know anything about the stitcher except that she must have loved animals and all nature and its creations. So I do have the antique to show you, and it looks totally different because it was stitched on very loose, almost like needlepoint canvas. And here is the antique, and you can see those words are in German. pardon the glare of the light. If I can do this, I will show you both of them together. And here we go. And there's the model. So, in memory of Louise, a lovely, lovely sampler. Okay. Then, last but not least, last October, I was asked to do a lovely retreat on Cape Cod with Celebration Needlework, which was just delightful to be there. We visited Plymouth, Massachusetts as well, and Plymouth Hall and Pilgrims Hall, and saw the Mayflower. I saw the Laura Standish sampler, which was one of the first samplers they believe was ever stitched on American soil from the 1600s. And as part of that, I offered what I call the seashell sampler. This too is going to be coming out for release to the general public in a few months. And let me first show you the antique, and you'll see why I fell in love with this when I first saw it. Okay, here we have the antique, a beautiful floral border up the top, the lovely Jesus Permit verse, religious verse, and then down at the bottom we have an assortment of seashells in coral. The stitcher's name was Jane Price. She stitched in the year 1819, and you'll see it's done, except for the border, in long arm satin stitch. Okay, but most of us are cross stitchers, and I can do a little embroidery. Used to do a lot more of it before I discovered my true love, which is cross stitch in the 80s. So I converted that entire antique sampler to counted cross stitch, and this is what the model looks like. So here we go. There's the floral band up at the top, the beautiful verse. All of this is over 2, and then the lovely seashells at the bottom. So some of the women who attended this have been stitching this and have been posting on social media. I do have a Facebook page called Friends of Cross Stitch Antiques, so if you were one of those women who would like to post your progress or progress of any of my samplers that you've been working on, please do, so that we can share your lovely work with others. So this is also going to be available for general release in the near future, and I hope you enjoy that one as well. Okay, so I am just going to call this a short video. I appreciate your interest in cross-stitch antiques and my samplers. My 3 new releases are available now. I said for those online needlework shops, they're also going to be available on my website in a couple weeks after the shops attending get first privilege. And I also will have some kits available while supplies last. I am also going to be offering some kits with Lakeside Linen of some of my previous releases. I've been restocking Lakeside for Eliza Townsend, Oh Sweet Humility, which will be available shortly also on my website. So just stay tuned. There's always something coming that's new and old from Cross Stitch Antiques. So anyway, very grateful for your interest. So happy that you share my passion for antique samplers. And until then, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Take care.